Thinking back to when I was a kid and my brother and I would walk to the Saturday matinee to see monster, sci-fi, and horror films at a theater much like this. In fact, I think that's the very theater. Often I was intrigued by the posters hanging on the wall. Today I want to look at some of the tropes and techniques that these posters used to entice people like me, perhaps you, to lure us to fill the seats for the upcoming films. First of all, let me get one thing out of the way, and that's the eye. I guess you call it stricken with Bell's palsy. For me, the serious thing is my eyelid is stuck open, and the danger is the eye will dry out and then eventually go blind. They say it's a 70% chance to heal, but it may take 3 to 6 months. If you noticed the thumbnail, I made that several days before the Bell's palsy hit me. And it's supposed to be a fake sci-fi film where I took an old picture of myself and special effects made me to look like a mutant. Just an odd coincidence. I made the eye real weird. And then several days later, out of the clear blue, my eye is all messed up. I had put so much work in, I wanted to finish. So I'm hoping you will just ignore my looks and we can have some fun looking at the posters. The first technique that was commonly used is to show the monster creature, or in this case, a giant woman, is much bigger on the poster than they are actually in the film. I picked this poster deliberately because we know she's 50 feet tall. The cars are too small, but more importantly, the people in the foreground are much too small. Another thing they use in combination with this is to have a bunch of people in the foreground panicking, running around with their hands in the air, crying, screaming. Also, military and or police shooting up at the monster, seemingly with little to no effect. Now, this technique was very effective on me as a kid because I would look at it and say, well, there's going to be a lot of action in this. This isn't one of those films where it's a love story for 50% of the film and then all of a sudden the monster shows up. No. This monster is going to be creating chaos. Like, look at this guy. He's going to grab that bus like a big bag of M&Ms and just split it open. Pour people down his gullet. This is going to be great. I got to see that. Now let's zoom in and see the granddaddy of all tropes. And that is woman being carried. Typically, they're scantily clad and they're either screaming or passed out, fainted with fear. As we see, robots like to carry women. Creatures like to carry women. This woman looks like she's the fainted, passed out variety. I don't blame her. That creature's hideous looking. Aliens like to carry women. And I'll be go to hell. Trees, walking trees would carry women. How in the world would he catch them? I have to show you a clip of this tree. He walks slower than a slow-moving zombie. How is he catching these women? I can't catch one. He's carrying them around by the handful. What's his secret? As a little kid, I was in the 1st and 2nd grade when I was walking to the matinee. I was more interested in the monster. I didn't pay attention to any of the scantily clad women. But in retrospect, I can see where young teenage boys up until adult men would be drawn to the movie by that. This brings us to a subset of woman being carried, and that's wearing a specific item of clothing that was in fashion in the 1950s. Younger viewers may not believe this, but I'm not making this up. They had things called bullet bras, occasionally called torpedo bras, and we see one here. I don't know what the points of these things were, but let me zoom in and maybe a viewer can figure it out and put in the comments and let me know. But anyway, some robots preferred women with bullet bras. Some creatures carried women with bullet bras. This one appears to be a screaming variety, but she's underwater. Can you scream underwater? There were aliens that wanted women with bullet bras. This alien looks like he's about to grab the woman by the waist. I'm not so sure. Maybe I could extrapolate, see what he's aiming at. Well, anyway, I knew Mars needs women, but I didn't know Planet X needs women. What's with these planets? Why are they all coming to Earth and collecting Earth women? Maybe this film here, Flight to Mars, answered the question. I don't remember the plot. It's been so long since I've seen it. Maybe the Earthmen were going there to figure out, why are you collecting all our women? Well, look at these two women on the poster. Those are Martian women. Look what they're wearing. A bullet brawl. Now, I've seen on like Joe Rogan and stuff where these people come on and say the aliens come occasionally and they leave technology, like how to build the pyramids, the microwave oven. They're the ones that brought the bullet brawl technology. That woman's got one on the end there, definitely. And get a load of their dresses. If they were any shorter, they'd be halter tops. And what's the deal with the high heels? Is it got something to do with the gravity? They have to poke in the ground so they're not bouncing up and down like the moon? What's the gravity on Mars? I don't know. Maybe this is why Elon Musk wants to get to Mars so bad. He thinks the women dress like that. You think that's why he wants to get there? But the one good thing I'll say about the Earthmen, they didn't grab the women and start carrying them around. Another technique to attract audiences was to advertise that the film was in color. Most films were in black and white until 1967. Color TV sales didn't exceed black and white until 1972. So it was a real treat to go out and see something in color, so that's why it was frequently advertised. It also implied a higher quality overall because a person might figure, well, if they're willing to spend money on color, they're probably spent more money on better actors, writers, directors. I thought this one was interesting. It has a small font, but it has a way to draw your eyes by having each letter in a different color. Along with color, often some type of filming technique was emphasized. CinemaScope and Terror Color by Deluxe. Notice how the red coloring makes the smaller words pop out. This is filmed in SuperScope. What the heck is that? What would you assume SuperScope is? Would you assume it's color? This film's in black and white. Here's another poster with colors popping out that was filmed in black and white. This one has a minor technique that worked well on me as a kid. The face of the grasshopper shows emotion, evil, angry, like, I'm going to eat everybody in sight. Here's another film with the same expressive eyes of the ant. Speaking about insect films reminds me of another technique, and that's artistic liberties that misrepresent what's actually in the film. Take a look at this wasp woman poster. It's got a woman's face and head, big insect body, 6 legs, wings, stinger. Let's look at a clip from the film and see if you can see a difference. Any difference at all. She has a wasp head in a human body. There's no wings, there's no stinger. She's biting people. She's not Spider Woman, she's Wasp Woman. Rip off. Look at this poster. Not of this Earth. Imagine what you think the alien looks like in this. Let's look at a clip and see.
Look at me, look at me. My eyes are alien. Look at them.
Rip off. This illustrates another thing that happens sometimes where they'd have a scene that isn't in the film. This could easily deceive you as to what's happening. It looks like there's flying saucers up in the air, shining spotlights trying to catch people that are running around at night. Now, if you've seen the film, you can say this is not a literal, it's figurative, artistic interpretation, but you need to see the film to know that that's the case. Many posters had taglines meant to pique curiosity. See, teenagers versus the saucer men. See, the disembodied hand that crawls. Just as an aside, I have a younger sister, and I convinced her when we were young that there's a disembodied hand living up in the attic, and she believed me. I think she believes it to this day. Often the taglines made grandiose promises that were not fulfilled in the film. See, night the world nearly ended. The saucer men did not even come close to defeating a small town. A bunch of teenagers beat them. Did you notice the last two titles had invasion in the title? Back in this period, there was a Cold War paranoia, fear of communism, fear of atomic war. So many films had a plot involving invaders. Also, radiation from atomic bombs are what create the monsters in the film. This poster has a mushroom cloud to let people know that nuclear war is involved in the film. Here's another example of a film that utilizes fear of the atom bomb. Creature with the atom brain. Now we get to some gimmicks I think are meant to generate talk and buzz about what's on the poster. They're just so crazy that they're intended to get someone to say, hey, look at this. You won't believe what's on this poster. $50,000 guaranteed by a world-renowned insurance company to the first person who can prove it is not on Mars. Now, hey, maybe this is why Elon Musk wants to get there. He wants the 50 grand. It's not the women, he wants the money. Maybe he wants both. Let's look at an example of another weird one. Free, we guarantee to bury you without charge. If you die of fright during Screaming Skull. Geez, that's a great deal. I think I'll go see this. The king of gimmicks was a guy named William Castle. This is one of the films I saw at the Saturday matinee as a kid. The Tingler with Percepto. Percepto is the newest, most startling gimmick on the screen. Guaranteed the Tingler will break loose in the audience. No worries though, because as you enter the theater, you will be given instructions how to protect yourself from the Tingler. Now they had some seats with like a buzzer in it where the projectionist could hit the button and the buzzer would buzz and startle somebody sitting in the seat.
Ladies and gentlemen, please do not panic, but scream! Scream for your lives! The Tingler is loose in this theater, and if you don't scream, it may kill you. Scream! Scream!
The Tingler is paralyzed by screaming, so at a certain point Vincent Price says, he's paralyzed, you can stop. You think a bunch of kids are going to stop screaming once they start? Overall, great gimmick to draw and excite kids. What tropes and techniques in posters did you find effective that lured you into the theater? Check out my video of my top 7 1950s sci-fi films, or my 1950s science fiction movies I loved as a kid.